I want to talk about the issue of race today in this clip, and looking at recent events. In the United States, you had the issue of a woman called Rachel Dolezal, who was posing as black, working for the NAACP, and as it turns out, she is absolutely white. She's taken the identity of a black person, black woman. And what should be noted the most is I don't know her specific involvement in the NAACP, but if she has taken legal action against people for being supposedly racist because of whatever the complaint of the day is, she's taken it under false pretense. She's claiming to represent black people and claims to be black, but physically speaking, she's white. And despite the spray tan, I suppose you'd call it, and the sideshow bob hairstyle, fact of the matter is she is white. She's physically white. Her parents are physically white. And looking at it was an interview she did for some breakfast show, I'm guessing. She says that race is a social aspect. It's not physical in its uh, category or definition. On top of that, let's look at there was a shooting in a church. Well, this is alleged at the moment because there's still a court case to go. A white guy goes into a black church and shoots dead nine black people. And these things are, taken as, the show of white racism against black people, against all people. So I'm trying to figure out how race is being defined in legal, political terms. And, looking back at Rachel Dolezal, if you look at any legal action she may have, or the NAACP took against people based on her actions, that should make all these judgments null and void if it's in their favour. But going back to recent events, so we had the shooting at the church. Even in Australia, we had people bringing up talkback radio and the like, saying, horrible white racism. But the thing is, the people who were ringing up the radio stations were themselves white, from what I could make out. And we're seeing a mindset or a mass hysteria where if it's on the media, which is social, then it must be true and it must be accepted despite the rights and wrongs of whatever story is being peddled. So let's look at the likes of the people who support this mass hysteria. And I'll be quite frank, I find them to be by and large middle-aged white women who go to know blacks are poor innocent victims. They've got victimhood and they've got a sense of entitlement as well. It's kind of difficult to try and put it forward what is actually happening in terms of race, in terms of politics, where all these aspects come in: politics, economic, science, social, and religious esoteric. But you can see they're all interrelated. Now, Rachel Dolezal said she's transracial. Now, transracial can only really be applied in likes of, say, which you will notice more and more of now, is white couples adopting black kids. So her parents adopted black kids. So when she says she is from a transracial family, that is technically correct. But there is a bigger picture to this. And you'll notice now that you've got celebrities, usually female, usually middle-aged, adopting black kids for, you could say for whatever reason, or just to be hip, to be social. But look this way, I can't help but be suspicious of, let's say, white woman in her 40s adopting a young black boy. And when you think, what's it going to be like in, say, 15, 20 years' time? White, burnt-out celebrity, aged 60 or so, with a young 20-year-old black boy in a house. I mean, really, for all the complaints these people make about racism, the slaveholders were buying black female slaves to have sex with on their property. Does it not come across or make you suspicious that these celebrities may be doing the same thing, only in a reverse order? So let's look at the issue of race. Now, race is purely physical, it's your appearance, it's physiological aspect of it. If somebody looks white, they are white. If someone looks black, they are black. You can go to the parts where the origin of the race comes from, or where they reside, usually indigenous. But with a global, or I should say a borderless state, all these things don't really mean that much now. And people say, oh, you're white, you're just complaining because of all the foreigners coming in and mixed race children and all that. No, I don't believe that is a problem in itself. That, look, you fall in love with who you fall in love with, you don't really get a choice in that. But I see a lot of interracial relationships which are based on economic and indeed social aspects. And you have those who push this for political gain or economic gain or social gain. And the way I see it, we're seeing a redefinition of what it means to be white or what it means to be black. So Rachel Dolezal will, even though, I would say the most common on the street black person would say, look, she's white, she's just pretending to be black. There will be those who will say, yes, she is black, purely on a social aspect and the transracial family aspect, which is social in itself. It's myself, speaking from a white person's point of view, I think we've seen a partition with what most people would call the 1%ers who rule the 99%. And people will say, oh, 1% can't rule 99%. Well, I'm thinking about where this has occurred. And if you look at British India. Now the British were, what, in India, what, 1%, half a percent possibly? And yet they managed to take over all of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. And, basically ruled the people as well, because the people had a caste system. And they became administrators of that caste system. So if it happened there, it can certainly happen within white society. And I do believe we have seen that. If you want to get your 1% or half a percent within a certain race, you have to make 99.5% of those who would be physically racial the same as you. You have to make them breed out or disappear. And so once that happens, you'll have the half a percent who are purely physical, but yet use social means to enforce the fact that they are in this case, the only white people there are. And I'll continue on with this later.